Hello and welcome to Blog of the Net's football podcast, the final World Cup edition for 2026. Today we're going to review the World Cup final itself, everything between Spain and Argentina. We're also going to have a quick look at England because they played France and that was a bit of a doozy. And we've got some World Cup awards. We're going to look at the player of the tournament, the young player of the tournament, the team of the tournament, the goal of the tournament, the game of the tournament, and everything else. We'll even have a look at how this World Cup stacks against all of the others this century. So, let's get into it. Okay, so in the end, the best team won this tournament, and look, Argentina handled themselves with class and good grace and a real show of sportsmanship and integrity. Oh, no, wait, they didn't, did they? They were completely abhorrent throughout the whole 120 minutes, plus stoppages, plus afterwards, plus everything else, probably in the changing rooms. The worst display by a team in a World Cup final since, Argentina in 1990. They had 2 sent off that day. Possibly worse, who knows. Let's get into this game then. It really wasn't up to too much. A nervy affair if like me, you wanted one particular team to win. I'll put my biases to one side. Honestly, I will, and I can. Let's just go through a few numbers. 65% possession for Spain. 20 shots for Spain to Argentina's 2. Of course, Argentina's first shot coming in the 117th minute. I'll say that again, 117. It was blocked as well, I should add. 12 shots on target for Spain to Argentina's 0. It's the first time in 60 years since records began that a team hasn't had a shot inside 90 minutes of a World Cup final. You can forget all this since 1966 nonsense. It's 100 years. This is ever. Because teams have scored goals in the World Cup final before that. Argentina, without question, are the first team not to have a shot in the 90 minutes. Remarkable. Spain, 4-0 on big chances. 2.3 XG for Spain. It felt like more given some of the chances they created. It often does. 0.2 for Argentina. Very good. 32 touches in the Argentina box for Spain. Argentina managed 8 in total. I looked at fouls. 21 fouls committed by Spain, 25 by Argentina. Now, I talked about this on the last episode about fouls per game and how they're only sort of averaging just over 1 more per game than Spain. And it feels more. That's because of how they do it, the aggression they show in the ones they do get given, and then, of course, the ones that don't get given, of course. So it can feel like more, but it's actually quite close in this game. 4-0 on yellow cards to Argentina. It should have been many more. Emi Martins, surely the man of the match here. 2.03 XG goals prevented. So the game kicked off 6 minutes late, 6 minutes past 8 UK time. I'll come on to some more timekeeping stuff shortly. This has really wound me up in this tournament. I will keep this positive as much as I can, but yeah. Kick off on time. There's no excuse for it. There was actually quite a fast start to the game. Yamal had a chance at one end. He cut in off the right after a good move from Spain. And then right down the other end really quickly, Unai Simon had to be really fast off his line. It looked a little bit like Messi kind of ducked out of the challenge, maybe just not quick enough to get there. But I thought, here we go. This is a good start. But I don't really recall Argentina being that deep into Spain's half again. And that was inside the first 10 minutes. On 15 minutes, Alexis McAllister avoided a yellow card. And here's really where the badness was started to become really noticeable. It was a really bad tackle. It is the most nailed-on yellow card you're ever going to see. Just a foul given. Very lucky. And I think it kind of set the tone for the game, really, because I understand referees don't want to sort of intervene. They don't want to, quote-unquote, spoil the game. But you've got to manage the game as well. And I think if you give a yellow card there, that sets the tone for how the referee would like the game to go. But instead, it set it how Argentina could almost manage the game themselves. On 28 minutes, McAllister handled the ball. It's going over his head and he slapped it away. Now, according to the rules, deliberate handball isn't automatically a yellow card. It normally lead to a goal scoring opportunity or a promising attack. It didn't lead to either of those things. It was inside the opposition half and everything. But given the other foul, I wonder whether sort of, there's a persistent fouls. It was only his second, I realised. But after you let him get away with the first one, I really feel he's fortunate. He did get booked in the end, McAllister. It wasn't until the 111th minute. The first booking of the game was after 41 minutes, Lisandro Martinez, and he had to go off 3 minutes later with an injury. The first half was just, a lot of nothing, really. It was quite reminiscent of England against Argentina, where both teams would have been quite happy with the half in that one, as I'd mentioned before. Spain, probably not so much because, they're a much more positive team and would have thought they could take the game a little bit to Argentina, but it was very stop-start, very scrappy. I suppose we've got to mention the halftime show because I mentioned it in the last episode and I'd said, about who's going to be there and what it will entail. It was so long. Like most of it's, assembling the stage and taking it down. I guess if I had to give a highlight, it was Ronaldo driving that vehicle with Madonna on it and Ronaldinho in the front with him. That did amuse me. I'll give you that. Tom Cruise was there. He was there beforehand. He gave a little speech. So no singing, no skydiving. Robbie Williams also there beforehand in a blue tracksuit that made him look like Jimmy Savile. Not sure what was going on there. Rooney called the halftime show crap, and I think pretty fair, all things considered. It just added to how long the game went on with extra time as well, which it felt like it didn't need given one team was so dominant. I know USA liked their sporting events to go on for 5 hours, and this went on for like over 3.5. It was very long. Anyway, probably the highlight of the game to that point was when the spray went off in the referee's back pocket. He sort of went to touch it as he took it out, and it went everywhere. It really caught Alex Baena. Got him in the face a little bit. It was quite amusing. Speaking of which, Alex Baena's got Alex B on his back. Which is kind of weird. Not weird, but I just... It's sort of... You look at it and you sort of go, can you imagine Bellingham having Jude B on the back of his back? I think some... the English, at least, would be sort of questioning that and wondering what he's up to. Harry H. Yeah, I'm not sure. How good that is. Spain made a double sub on 62 minutes. That's when Ayazabal went off. A bit of a surprise, given he's their kind of focal point. But De La Fuente is not afraid to change things and take off key players. And Ferran Torres, a very good player, came on and nearly made an immediate impact. 67 minutes. Yamal made a good run down the right. A chipped ball into the middle. He had a header, went very close. And Spain made another double sub on 75. This was where Nico Williams came on, who made a key contribution to this game, along with Mikel Merino. Yeah, again, a lot of nothing coming into 90 minutes. Spain just absolutely battering Argentina, but just couldn't find a way through. It was frustrating. I really wonder what you're thinking if you're an Argentina fan. Are you proud of that performance? There's been a lot of England bashing at this tournament about negativity and not using the players you've got. I wonder what the average sort of Argentina fan thinks of their performance. But so back to timekeeping. There were 4 sub breaks in the second half. By that there were 4 intervals where substitutions were used. There were more subs than 4, but there were a couple of doubles. So then there's a 3-minute hydration break. Those are always a minimum of 3 minutes. The referee added on 4 minutes at the end of the 90. Not for the first time. I don't think that's long enough. I talked about the incident in the France game where there was a 3-minute hydration break. It took 3 minutes and 20 seconds to sort out a VAR penalty, and the referee added on 5 minutes. Not quite as bad as that here, but pretty bad. And then, of course, you got the red card in injury time of that second half. The referee blows the whistle on 92:24. And he doesn't restart again until 95:09. So that's 2 minutes 45 of dead time whilst Enzo Fernandez has been sorted out. I'll come to that in a minute. Between 95 and 53 as he's adding on time, and 97 and 53, exactly 2 minutes, that's where Spain had a free kick and they were sorting that out. So 4 minutes 45 added on, and he blows up on 98-17. Anyway, it wasn't long enough. But let's come on to the red card, because it's a really bad and stupid thing for Enzo to have done. Of all the things he's getting away with at this tournament, particularly against England and particularly in other games, he gets caught for this one. Really, really stupid on Kubasi. And it just took him, what did I say, 2 minutes 45. Wouldn't get off the pitch. I understand it's different now with the VAR. They can look at second yellow cards. But, and then trying to get Cucurella in trouble. He taps his mouth. Messi starts it. Enzo jumps on it. Other players are surrounding the ref. It's pathetic. And then, as mentioned, there was that more time added on because Spain had a free kick on the edge of the box. Paredes hacks Ferran Torres down. That was his fourth foul of the game to that point. It's right on the edge. He stops him taking a shot. And I don't know how that's not a yellow card. But somehow it isn't. Tagliafico, 5 fouls in the game, no card. People crediting him against Lamine Yamal. He throws him, and holds him on the touchline at one point. That's, just wrestling. And fair play to Yamal for not reacting to it. But yet, no card there. Why would there be? We get into extra time. Spain score. Nico Williams tucks it away after the ball's played into Mikel Merino. And VAR can't do anything about this because the ref blows early. He blows for a foul on Otamendi. If you zoom in and you look really closely, there is a possibility that Merino does tread on Otamendi's foot. It is so minimal. Are you going to get a penalty for that? No, you are not. No, you're not. But the referee, who I think overall was weak in this game, he blows too early and it doesn't even give VAR an opportunity. Probably does VAR a solid one here, because I think if they overturn that, there's uproar. The fact that he just sorts it out himself and we all move on helps out. Of course, Spain had a goal disallowed for offside as well. He was marginally offside. Fair play. Julian Alvarez went off after 102 minutes. He's had a strange tournament. Quite average, really. Not someone that is one of the world stars, but he's gone for huge money. He is kind of a big player. Scored an important goal, of course, against Switzerland. But, yeah, pretty quiet tournament, all things told. Finally, Spain get the breakthrough with their 20th shot, and it's 1-0. It's really, really smart work from particularly Nico Williams at the back post. He gets a shove. It's a difficult header to pull off. He's got to set it properly. And Ferran Torres does really well with the finish as well. Puts his foot through it, but keeps it low and on target. And finally, we see the first goal of the game. And it's weird that that's actually what it takes for Argentina to come out. Of course, they're down to 10 men. But they do actually start giving it a go. Gabby Logan, after the match, said it's hard to win a match if you don't have a shot until the 117th minute. The fact is, Argentina didn't really come out to win this match. From the first whistle, they didn't. They looked like they were playing for penalties right from the off. And it's only when Spain scored that they actually gave it sort of a bit of a go. The 29th minute of extra time, this would have been such a contentious decision, and this adds to why I think the referee was weak. First of all, I want to say I don't subscribe to the conspiracy theories about Argentina favouritism by refs and FIFA, certainly not deliberately anyway. I think there might be some unconscious biases going on, particularly with Messi. I think referees, because they're human, they will encounter him and not know how to handle him sometimes. There is a moment in the 29th minute of extra time. Spain win a free kick. It's around the halfway line. They take it short into Messi. It's around 10 yards, the pass. Messi receives it. He's got players around him, and we know how good Spain are at smothering people when other teams have the ball. And Messi puts his foot on the ball and puts his hand down and goes and picks the ball up to take it over to where that pass was made to take the free kick from there. The ref clocks this, shuffles, he sort of sees, it sort of looks like, he's not going to allow this. And then he just points to where the original offence took place and where the free kick was taken from, and sort of goes, yeah, you can take it from there. No one really seems to argue with this, and the commentators, at least on the BBC, didn't pick up on this. I've got to tell you, I was apoplectic, because this is just Lionel Messi doing what he wants and a referee just cowering to the might of the great man. And it led to an Argentina corner, and it led to the massive, massive opportunity where Spain had to come across and perform that huge block to stop Argentina from scoring. It would have been such a controversial thing to have happened if Argentina got back into that. And yeah, you're probably not going to hear it spoken about, and like I say, maybe I shouldn't be covering it. We will move on. But it was just another little moment where you saw referees just bowing to Messi. And yeah, lucky that I think it didn't go any other way. We got to full time. Spain won the match. Football was saved. Everyone except for people in Argentina were happy. And Leandro Paredes, he came into his own again, didn't he, after the final whistle. He was caught choking Eric Garcia, throwing haymakers. He did get a red card, actually. There was a red card shown to him post-match, so he will receive a suspension, and quite rightly. I saw Rooney crediting the Argentina players for staying out on the pitch for the trophy parade and Spain, getting their medals. I'm not blaming Rooney. Maybe he wouldn't have seen exactly what went down and where they were, although he would have had a good view of it. But the Argentina players, actually, they are out there. They face away from the whole thing. They're just facing the Argentina fans. So not exactly showing too much class. But yeah, that was that. A pretty dull final. The correct outcome, I said that Spain would win this 2-1. I expected Spain to win. I thought Argentina would find a way to have a go, and maybe that Spain would get a couple of goals in front and that Argentina would have a little fight back, but they couldn't even manage that. So certainly comfortable on the underlying numbers. Wouldn't have felt comfortable if you're a Spain fan. You would have been thinking, where is this going? Is this going all the way? But not to be. And congratulations to Spain. Clearly the best team at this tournament. And fully deserved. European and world champions. Now they join a very small list of continental and world champions. There it is on your screen. Only Brazil have been continental and world champions twice before, with the Copa America themselves. And Spain, the first European team to be Euro and world champions at the same time. Can they go on and keep doing this? Yeah, maybe they can. It's really hard to win competitions back to back to back and keep going. But Spain have done that before, and maybe can repeat that. We shall see. And Luis de la Fuente, you've got to give him huge credit for what he's done with this Spain team, and he's brought back the good times. He'd won a couple of European under-21 and under-19 championships in 2015 and 2021. Unai Simon, Fabian Ruiz, Mikel Merino, Dani Olmo, Mikel Oyarzabal in 2021 as part of his team. Rodri was part of his team in 2015. And 15 of this Euro 2024 team were part of this 2026 World Cup squad. He's done a great sort of job transitioning those players and bringing players through, and the key ones. And yeah, there's an elite group of players that have got the most appearances at World Cup and European Championships combined without ever losing. Aymeric Laporte is top of that list with 23 appearances at World Cups and Euros without losing. 7 clean sheets for Spain at this tournament, which is a World Cup record. And their XG figure against France at 0.3 was the lowest by a nation in a semi-final in the competition since 1994. Well, it was 0.2 against Argentina in the final, so they've got that one as well. And Lamine Yamal is the yet to lose for his country in 29 competitive matches started. Really, really impressive for him. Yamal becomes the 4th and 5th sort of teenager ever to start a World Cup final and win the trophy. Pele's done it, Kylian Mbappe's done it, Giuseppe Bergomi's done it. You knew that from World Cup trivia as previous from me. And along with Pau Kubasi, Yamal is now the 4th/5th teenager to start a World Cup final and win the thing. Fantastic. The day before that final, of course, we had the bronze medal match. England against France. A game that I joked that nobody would be into. They wouldn't care about. And that may well still stand. Things may have been slightly adjusted following the match and how it panned out. 10 goals. 6 for England. I did not see that coming. I expected France to win the game. I thought England would have heavier hearts. Anthony Barry spoke after the game in quite emotional terms about how he'd seen the England players slumping around the hotel and knew how much it was affecting them, and how proud he was that they went out there, gave it their all, and put on a show to end the World Cup with a positive note for England. 10 goals in a game is, it's up there with the most ever. It's joint 5th for the highest World Cup scoring game ever. France involved in one of those in 58, a 7-3 with Paraguay. Then you've got Hungary and El Salvador in 1982. That was 11 goals, a 10-1 there. Hungary v West Germany in 1954. That was an 8-3. Brazil 6-5 against Poland in 1938. The highest scoring game ever was Austria against Switzerland, a 7-5 in 1954. So it's the highest number of goals since 82. As I said, it makes that top 5 of all time. France conceded 4 times in the first half of any match since 1968. Not just World Cups, any match. And we did that. England. Yeah, it's obviously a bit of an anomaly, given that it's treated as a knockout match, but it's not strictly a knockout match. It's, as I mentioned, I don't mind this game. It's a bit of a lead into the final and all that, and it's a tradition, but it's obviously a strange one, particularly in terms of your mentality. Bukayo Saka not getting a minute against Argentina and talking about his fitness across the tournament, but then starting this and bagging a hat-trick is really bizarre. He's going to be the answer to a pub quiz question in many years. Maybe this will be remembered more than I would have expected, I don't know. But, of course, Jeff Hurst, Gary Lineker, Harry Kane, and now Bukayo Saka, players that have scored a World Cup hat-trick, and only the second player to score a World Cup hat-trick in the knockout stages, with Sir Jeff Hurst there, of course. Saka finishes the tournament with 3 goals and 3 assists in 357 minutes. It's a goal contribution every 59 minutes. If he said that Bukayo Saka was going to have a goal contribution every 59 minutes of this tournament, I'd have been pretty excited. If you told me Bellingham would outscore Kane, I'd have been a bit worried. But I suppose if you'd said that Jude Bellingham was going to score 7 times at this tournament, I'd have thought, wow, we've got to be doing something pretty special at this one. So some strange things going on. Bellingham, of course, with the most World Cup goals ever for an England player, with 7 goals. That goal against France taking him above Kane at this tournament and all-time at a single tournament. The last player before Kylian Mbappe to score 10 goals at a single World Cup was Gerd Müller in 1970. So a very long time since anyone's got double figures. Well done to him. Mbappe was the pre-tournament favourite for the Golden Boot at 11-2. So sometimes it's best to just go with the favourite. Messi was 14-1. There was some value there. He was the same as Haaland at 14-1. Kane was 6-1. Ayadabao at 11-1. Yamal was 14-1 as well. You could have had Bellingham at 40-1. Dembele, Ronaldo and Alvarez all at 20-1. Mbappe's 10 goals and 4 assists is the most goal contributions at a World Cup for 60 years. 14. And Michael Olise's 7 assists is the most since records began since 1966, as they say. Well, it's actually it's the second most of all time. Raymond Kopa in 1958 for France got 8 assists, mostly for Just Fontaine. For anyone who likes hearing about that World Cup legend. Just finally on the England-France thing, just because England beat France at a World Cup, let's look at Raymond Domenech's quotes pre-tournament. He said, "There are about 10 teams capable of winning the world title. Not the English. We all agree with that, don't we? They have such a terrible loser image. No one takes them seriously anymore. It's terrible." Well, Raymond, we just put 6 past your lot. So, thanks for that. I talked about in the last episode, England maybe looking for a new manager. Well, I don't think they are. I can't believe that the FA are looking. But we looked at the bookmakers' favourites and Pep Guardiola was top of that list. He's now heavily linked with the Italy job. Could he get Italy to their first World Cup since 2014? There was a comment on TikTok by Omar Alain. Omar, I hope I've pronounced your surname correctly there, where he said about Pep Guardiola, would England really want someone who takes so long to implement his style? He said that it took him nearly 2 years to get what he wanted out of Manchester City's players, and he's working with those players every single day. It's a really interesting point, and I'll be very intrigued as to how Guardiola can do that with the Italy players if that rumour does come to fruition. But like I said, I expect Tuchel to keep his job, and I think the FA would be crazy to be looking anywhere else at this point. Okay, let's look at some World Cup awards, shall we? Who do we think was the player of the tournament? Well, not who do we think, who do I think? That's what we're here for. Okay, I think it's between 4 for the player of the tournament. So the official golden ball went to Rodri. Spain, of course, cleaned up on the individual awards. I think it's between Rodri, Jude Bellingham, Kylian Mbappe and Lionel Messi, personally. I think it's between those 4. I think further than that, it's between 2. I think it's between Messi and Mbappe. And I'm really, really torn on which to go for. I am just edging it to Messi. Yes, the man who influences referees through no fault of his own for just having too much aura. But no, seriously, Messi's 8 goals and 4 assists he's completely over-delivered as far as I'm concerned. 12 goal contributions is fantastic. 3.1 key passes per game. That's 3rd overall at the tournament. He was top before the final. Of course, that would have been lowered in terms of his goals per game because Argentina was so turgid in the final and didn't create any chances. And 3.5 dribbles completed per game. That puts him 6th overall. Just still delivering. Mbappe had mentioned most goal contributions in many a year, but I'm just giving it to Messi. Dragged his team to the final and just made a huge contribution to the semi-final. I feel like there was on-field coaching going on there and he went one step further than Mbappe, so I'm just going to edge it to Messi. Young player of the tournament. Again, I've narrowed this down to 4 players. Pau Kubasi got the official award. Johan Manzambi, I think, deserves some credit for Switzerland. Gilberto Mora, the 17-year-old in the Mexico midfield, was fantastic. And Bouadi for Morocco, I thought also had a really good tournament for a team that really showed up again after a great showing in 2022 for Morocco. The face on Kubasi's face, where the TV cameras caught him being told that line yourself up, you're about to get this award, was lovely. And the 19-year-old Barcelona centre-back gets my award as well. I thought Kubasi was absolutely brilliant all tournament. Part of a mean defence that let in just 1 goal. And alongside Laporte, formed a brilliant partnership. And I think he deserves it. And he's got a really bright future ahead of him, as all those names on the list hopefully have. The best game of the tournament? Well, I think that's between 2. The one that I probably enjoyed the most comes from bias, and that'll be the England-Mexico game. I thought it was just so thrilling for many reasons. The atmosphere, the occasion, what it meant to England, the drama, the tension, and the number of goals scored. It had a lot going on for it. I think objectively, the best game was probably Argentina against Cape Verde. I was abroad for this one, watched it in a bar with a great atmosphere. Had to watch it back properly when I got home for numerous reasons, but yeah, that was a thriller. The way Cape Verde came back and pushed Argentina was so exciting, and what could have been. But I think that was my favourite game of the tournament. And Argentina were involved in many of the better games of this tournament. You have to give them credit for being involved in some of those. The biggest upset of the tournament, I don't think there were that many. I'm going to come on to how I felt about the tournament overall shortly. Yeah, I don't think there were too many upsets. I feel this competition was fairly straightforward in terms of predictions. I suppose the three that I can narrow this down to are Spain against Cape Verde, the 0-0. You have to say that even though that one was a draw, Cape Verde are the only team that took a result off Spain. They're the only team that stopped Spain from scoring. And yeah, it was a huge shock in that opener for both teams. Brazil v Norway in the last 16 to put Norway into the quarterfinal and send them on to their furthest that they'd ever gone at a World Cup. Okay, not a brilliant Brazil team, but I think most people thought they could squeeze through that. I didn't, but you know, it's still a big upset. And one that I didn't call at all. I thought Germany would go past Paraguay. I thought that Paraguay in the group stage were, a pretty terrible watch. Pretty lucky to go through. And they tried to kick their way through Germany in the last 32 and managed it. Tried the same against France, didn't pull it off, but fine. They're very lucky, Paraguay, for many reasons. But, even though that was a draw and they went through on penalties, I think that has to be on the list. Overall, the biggest upset, I'm going to give it to Cape Verde. They just deserve all upsetness and all the credit for everything. They were such a brilliant watch as well. So I'm going to put them on the receiving end of another award. And this one, biggest upset in a game that, Spain drew and it ultimately didn't matter for them. But so be it. Best goal of the tournament, always subjective, of course. If I had to just pick one, I wouldn't say there's like a real hugely outstanding one that I'm so massively into. You know what, I'm going to go for Wilson Isidore, the Haiti goal against Morocco. Just a pure strike. Why not? I don't think there were too many that were more outstanding than that. He deserves it. Team of the tournament. Okay, I've opted for one player maximum per nation. I think it's really easy, like the World Cup official awards, to give out all the awards to Spain. Look, they won the tournament. You want the team of the tournament? It's Spain. Just name 11 Spain players. There's an argument that Ayadabal contributing so much to his team, he deserves the centre forward spot, etc. Okay? But I think one per nation is a good way to do this, and that's how I'm going to do it. Okay, so let's start in goal. I think this would have been my choice regardless. In fact, it definitely would have been. Back to Cape Verde. It's the 40-year-old Vozinha. Fantastic. With his unorthodox style. 78% save rate. And just, brilliant in those early stages of the tournament. 4 games played, 2 clean sheets, and who saw it coming? Certainly not against Spain. Yep, has to be in our goal here. Our back four, right back, again, probably gets into this team regardless of any restrictions. I've gone for Hakimi. He had the most dribbles and assists for a defender at the tournament. So Hakimi's my right back. My left back is Mendes of Portugal. Again, could have been in the conversation anyway. I probably would have edged Marc Cucurella in there, but I'm going to use my Spanish player elsewhere. But we're going for Mendes. He got a goal, of course, against Portugal. Against Uzbekistan, for Portugal. 11 chances created, 4 big chances created, and always brilliant going forward. 2 centre-backs. The first one, I've gone for Nico Elvedi of Switzerland, who, as ever at international tournaments, Switzerland seem to sort of quietly go through tournaments, getting through to the latter stages, probably without getting a lot of fanfare and a lot of love. But I thought Elvedi was really solid defensively. 9.3 defensive contributions per game, 61 passes per game, puts him up there as well. Excellent from the Swiss defender. Next to him, I wanted to include a Colombian, and I thought this guy had a brilliant tournament. It was Davinson Sanchez. Just 1 goal conceded by Colombia all tournament. 0.6 big chances against per game. They were just so stingy at the back there. And he could have had a goal, Sanchez. 6 shots was a high for defender. 0.43 XG per game. And I thought he had an excellent tournament, and I think Colombia deserve a little bit of credit, even though they went out earlier than they possibly would have been predicted, because they started the tournament very, very brightly. If I was looking and had no restrictions, I think Lisandro Martinez and Aymeric Laporte are probably getting into this team. Laporte had 0.1 dribble passed per game defensive stats. The same as Mark Gahey, incidentally. That was a tournament low. Into midfield, I'm using my Spain slot up on Rodri. 101 passes completed per game. The next midfielder on this list to have such a number is Sander Berg at 86.2. Way, way behind. Rodri tops the list of anyone. Behind him, quite a lot of defenders, but you've got to go down quite a lot of passes per game there to find the next midfielder. Just brilliant at recycling possession, brilliant at playing the ball forwards, splitting the lines, and looks back to his best. Good to see from Rodri. With him in midfield, we've got Jude Bellingham, Sir Jude of Bellingham, 7 goals, 1 assist. Probably the greatest England performer at a single tournament we've ever seen. Certainly on the shortlist, and he goes into our midfield. I've spoken so glowingly about Jude across the tournament, no more needs to be said. Also in the midfield, probably playing more of a winger, we're sneaking him in there, but Leandro Trossard deserves some credit in the Belgium team. 2 goals, 2 assists, 17 chances created. That puts him 5th for chances created at this tournament. All those ahead of him played 2 more games. Really, really solid stuff from Trossard. I thought he was excellent. I think if I had no limitations, Michael Olise has to have gone into this team. He assisted 7 times at this tournament, and 5 of those for Mbappe. I like to see 2 players linking up like that, and Olise was brilliant in that advanced midfield role. Right, onto our front 3. We have to include Messi, of course. Already talked about his contributions. We have to include Mbappe with his 14 goal contributions. Already talked about him. And the centre forward slot, it could have been Kane, it could have been Oyarzabal. But I think with using our England and Spain slots elsewhere, we have to go Erling Haaland with his 7 goals and taking Norway to the quarter-finals. I think Ismail Assar and Quinones of Mexico, a little bit unlucky not to get into this team. No restrictions about their nation, so they could have got in somewhere. But that's my 11 of 1 per nation. Tell me what you think. Would you have done it any differently? My wife asked me if there'd been a penalty shootout at this tournament. Now, I knew that obviously there had been 4. But I thought, I wonder what's made you ask that. Like most people who are not really football fans, and she is not, they get that World Cup fever and they get that as the tournament goes on. And she'd not remembered or clocked one because there hadn't been a penalty shootout from the quarterfinals onwards. We had 3 in the last 32. Of course, the last 32 was a new round at this World Cup. And there was just 1 in the last 16, that Switzerland and Colombia game. It's the first time since penalties were introduced in the 1982 World Cup that we haven't had a penalty shootout from the quarterfinals onwards. The highest at 2022. There were 5 from the last 16 onwards from there. In terms of goals per game, I looked at that earlier in the tournament where it was over 3 goals per game and it was the most of the 21st century. It ended up landing on 2.96. That's the most this century. 2.69 in 2022 is the next most. 51 goals scored from the last 16 onwards at 2026. And at this century, only 2022 can beat that with 52 goals. Most in the noughties had, they were around the 30s, so quite low scoring. 2010 caught me out because their overall goals per game was low, but that was actually up in the knockouts. And with the 2026 edition, it's hard to know which is worse. The extortionate ticket prices, the suspension overturned for Balogun, or that halftime show and FIFA just flouting the rules for how long you need at halftime. If you really deep it, it's hard to know which is worse. It really is. Anyway, that's enough of slagging off this tournament because I have done a bit of that. What I would say is a good addition, not the hydration breaks, subs being part of the national anthems I've quite liked. It's low key, it's not changing very much, but I think everyone plays their part in a squad. You may have seen Jason Steele getting a 3rd place bronze medal for his part of going along and being the goalkeeper trainer. I really like that. It's good. So subs being part of the national anthem, you can keep that. Good stuff. Where does it rank with tournaments this century? So I guess it's below 2022 and 2018, isn't it? Let's face it, just for pure football. There's been some really good games at this tournament, but I feel it's been so saturated, it's hard to sort of distinguish between which have been, the best. It's clearly above the 2010 tournament, which was very low scoring and very drab in a lot of areas. Then it's probably above 2006. There's a lot of drama and a lot of stars and legends at that tournament, but some of the knockout games in particular were a bit iffy and it was a bit hit and miss. I would say it's around where 2014 was in Brazil. And the group stages of that were really, really exciting and it dipped slightly into the knockouts. But I think just for the drama in that semi-final, the 7-1, I think 2014 probably edges it. So I'll just have it just below that. And then it's whether I have it below 2002 or not. And I think to touch on something that I already have with the upsets and there not being many at this one, there were a lot at 2002. You maybe say somewhere in the middle is best. But I think 2002 had so much drama and so many of those upsets that I'd probably just put that in front. So I'd put this 5th on the list of 7 at this in the century. How do you feel about that? Around the middle? Do you think it was better than that? Am I giving it too much credit? Let me know. And that really concludes everything that I have. So I just want to say thank you very much for watching, if indeed you still are. Thank you very much if you've tuned in across the tournament as well. I really appreciate it. And if you've enjoyed this content, please give it a like. Please give me a subscribe and comment. Tell me that you liked it. Tell me if you'd like to see more or what you'd like to see more of. I'd appreciate it. And if you'd like more content, maybe I can do some more for you as the weeks and months go on. But if not, and until then, thank you very much and goodbye.